Hi, hello everyone. Welcome back. Uh, so I hope you're following the series. Again, as I mentioned on the first day and also on the second day, this is basic programming using Python language. So it is for beginners, for people who are absolutely new to Python. It will help you. All right. So in the previous session, we completed talking about data types, all the different data types that are available in Python. Integers, floating values, complex numbers, Boolean, string, and most importantly, something very specific to Python. What is that? List, tuple, set, and dictionary. How are they different from each other? What are the features of each of these things? We had clearly discussed. So what we will do now is proceed towards conditional statements. I'll start off with the if statement. After seeing a small example on the if statement, we will look at user input. How do we accept input from the user? And based on the user input, we'll try to perform some activities. That is what is the agenda for today's session. Okay, so without much delay, I'll go ahead and open the Anaconda Navigator. Now again, yesterday also, I think I missed a message. See, it is not necessary that you should use Spider only. If any other interface, any other IDE that you might have for Python is fine. You can use Jupyter, you can use Python command line coding also is fine. Or if you're using Visual Studio Code, VS Code for Python, that is also fine. Okay, whatever you want, whichever tool you already have, whichever IDE you already have, you can use that. Absolutely no problem there. Okay, I am doing it on Spider, that's all. You can use a different GUI. That's the beauty of this. There are so many integrated development environments available, and we can use anything that is most comfortable to us. I'm launching Spider here. Okay, I'm going to open a new Python script. Now, so far we've been doing everything in the console, isn't it? Rather than doing it in the console, because I told you this is stored in the RAM, random access memory, which means the moment you close the file, you are going to lose all this information and all the variables that are created are also going to be deleted. So rather than doing it here, right, from now on, we will go ahead and create a new Python script. So where is that option for creating a new Python script? Over here. On the editor, up here, we have the option for creating a Python script. I think the color is not so good over here. Okay, this first icon is to open a new script. And when you select it, a new script window will open like this. Whatever script windows. Already you can see there's a temporary.py and user input.py. So new scripts will keep, new windows will keep opening as you keep creating new scripts. So I am going to create a new script now. I'm going to create a new script. Okay. And over here, I can start typing. Now, how do you increase the size of the console? Control Shift and plus. Control Shift plus to slightly increase the size of the console to make it big enough for you to clearly see. All right. So what are we going to learn here? Conditional statements. Conditional if statement. It is a conditional statement. So I'm going to write a comment. How do we write a comment is we prefix it with a hash mark. A single line comment if you're writing, just put a hash mark and you can write your comment. So conditional statement. There are many conditional statements. Okay. Here today we are going to talk about if. So what will it do? If the condition is satisfied, certain activity will be performed. If the condition is satisfied, some activity will be performed based on what we write in the code. Okay. So here I will write a small example and then based on that, I will try to explain the concept to you. I'm going to create a variable called as value, and I'm just using the Boolean value true, assigning the Boolean value true to this variable. Okay, once I press the enter key. You see here, once I press the enter key, the variable is not yet created, isn't it? Earlier, when we were doing it on the console, immediately we could see the variable. Immediately we could see the variable here. Here, we're just writing the code and you will execute it towards the end by pressing this play button or the function key F5. Only after you have executed the code, whatever variables you build, you will be able to see them. And the output you will see on the console. Okay. I'm going to create a variable num1, assigning a value of 500 to it, another variable number2, num2, and I'm going to assign a value 50 to it. Okay. And now I will write the if statement. So if num1 is greater than num2, this is my condition. And after you have given the condition as a part of the syntax, you need to put a colon mark. Okay, the condition has come to an end. I'm going to check whether number1 provided is greater than the second number. Okay, and if so, what to do? Look at this. Generally in other programming languages, right? If you use an if statement, if followed by some condition, then you write then, okay, do something else, and then you give end. This is the syntax. In some tools, this is the syntax. If condition is satisfied, then what to perform, otherwise what to perform, and then you end the if statement. In some tools, if followed by the condition, and then you open the brackets, okay, and you write what should happen if it is true. You open arrays and you tell what should happen if it is true. Here, the indentation. Here, after this, when I press, you see it is indented. There's a tab key kind of a space that is applied here, right? The indentation means if this is true, you enter into the function. If the condition is satisfied, you'll enter into the condition, into the function and do something. So I'm going to type, if it is true, I'm going to just print the number1. Okay. And then I would like to print true. I just want to print true. Yes, that the condition is true. Now, how do I exit the loop? You see, I'll do a backspace. I'm out of that if condition now. If the condition is satisfied, the control will go inside and it will print the number1 and it will print true. And then it will exit the statement. That's all, nothing else. I'm not doing anything else. So over here, let us see what will happen when I run this piece of code. When we run the entire code will be executed. Once you click on the run button, the complete code will be executed. So it has created a variable called value, which is holding Boolean value true. Number1, 500 and number2, 50. All right. And look at the output on the output console. So the condition is satisfied, isn't it? 500 is greater than 50. This is true. So if true, whatever condition you are giving, if that condition turns out to be true, then whatever you have written, indented inside will work. Okay. So it is going into that if statement now because the condition is true. It is going into the statement and it has printed the number, which is 500, and it has printed the value true also for us. Okay, let me run this again. I'm going to run this again. Wait, first I will change this. Okay, let me change the number. I'm making number1 as 10. So is number1 greater than number2? Now, it is not. It is not. 10 is not greater than 50. In that case, what will happen? Let me execute it. Nothing has happened. It just took the file, it executed the code, but it did not give me any output. I don't see any output here. Unlike over here where I was able to see 500 and I was able to see true, here nothing is happening. Why? Because 10 is not greater than 50. 10 is not greater than 50. Therefore, this condition is not satisfied. Only if true, it will enter into that statement and print these. If it is not true, it will not enter inside. Getting it? Only when the condition is satisfied, it will enter. Otherwise, it will not enter into that if condition. It will just exit from there. In fact, it has not even entered. There's no exit also. Okay, so there is nothing happening. There is nothing happening. Now, I want to handle it in a better way. Suppose the condition is not satisfied. I would like to give a message saying the condition is not satisfied. Then what to do? Okay, over here, I'm already assigning true to this variable called as value. Okay, I'm assigning true to this variable called as value. Even without this, it would have worked, but okay, I'm assigning it. Now, for this requirement, I need it. What is my requirement now? When the condition is not satisfied, it has to specify that the condition is not satisfied. So I will begin with assigning true to this value, assigning true to the value. And here, before this check happens, I'm going to use an if statement. If value, if true, what is value? Value is true. If true, it is always true because I've assigned it. If true, then what to do? Assign, create a variable called as message and assign this value to the message. What? Condition is not satisfied. Condition is not satisfied. Then num1 greater than num2 check. If so, print num1 and then you assign this to the message. What will I assign to the message? Condition satisfied. Num1 is greater than num2. Okay, num1 is greater than num2. Now I will exit from here and I will print the message. So what is going to happen when we run this code? See, true is manually assigned to value. So value has true. Value has true. When after assigning these two, creating these two variables called as num1 and num2, it will come. If true, this condition is not satisfied, is stored over here. By default, it is true. So condition is not satisfied is getting stored in message. After storing this value into message variable, we are now checking. After that, we are checking whether num1 and num1 is greater than num2. Suppose it is false. In this, as of now, 10 is greater than 50 is what it will check, and it turns out to be false. So what will it do? It will not enter into this part. It will just print the message. So which message will get printed? This message that is already stored in the message variable. As of now, the message that is stored into the message variable that the condition is not satisfied, which is happening at the beginning of my code, is what will get printed. So if I run this statement, you can see spelling mistake. Okay. If I run this, you can see it is telling condition is not satisfied. At the bottom, you can see it is saying condition is not satisfied. Suppose I will change this number now, make it 500. Now what will happen? Value is always true. It is already assigned. Num1 and num2 are going to be 550 respectively. Message is already stored as if condition is not satisfied because this is true, isn't it? So if it is true, condition is not satisfied is already present in message. Okay. Then what are we doing? We are doing the check. We are checking to see if number1 is greater than number 2 in this line number 7. In this case, 500 greater than 50 turns out to be true. So what will happen? The moment this is true, control goes inside. It will print number 1 and in the message variable, it is going to store this message, condition satisfied, num1 is greater than num2. And finally, it will print the message. So though initially the message had condition is not satisfied, the moment the condition is satisfied, it is overwritten. It is getting overwritten by this new message here. Right? It is getting overwritten by the new message. And that is what will get printed. I hope this is clear. Now when I run it, you see 500. Condition is satisfied. Num1 is greater than num2. I made a mistake there, but you get the point, right? See that. Num1 is greater than num2 is what got printed. So by default, we are keeping true here. And if this is true, by default, we are giving this not satisfied condition. So error handling is being done. If the condition is not satisfied, instead of leaving it blank, we are kind of doing error handling over here. Using this logic, I'm doing error handling over here. And when the condition is satisfied, what will happen? The control will enter into this if statement. It will print the number and it will overwrite whatever is there in message. What does message have right now? Condition is not satisfied. That is getting overwritten by condition is satisfied, num1 is greater than num2. And ultimately, as the last statement of the code, when we print the message, this is what will get printed. Condition is satisfied, number1 is greater than number2. I hope it is clear to all of you. So like this, you can implement the logic. If statement and also how to do error handling, how to implement a logic, we have seen with this example. Okay, I'll pause for a minute to see if you have any questions. If you people are executing it right now, you can do it. You can execute this part of the code. So is it making sense? Any questions here, please? Why am I not able to see the messages? Okay, I will keep this open on my phone so that there is a message, I can immediately see it. I'm not able to see right now. Okay, see, at a later point of time also, you may not be watching, some of you may not be able to watch it live all the time. So once the video is available on the channel, when you watch it, even then, if you have any questions, you put it in the comments. Okay, one of the team members will get in touch with you and clarify your doubts if you have any, or I will also respond to your messages in the comment section. Okay. For some reason, I'm not able to see the messages right now. So anyway, let's proceed to another example. So this was a simple if statement. If true, always remember it is checking if true. That's all. If the condition turns out to be true, if true, then it will enter into the statement and perform some activity. Otherwise, it will not even enter into that statement. Okay. So we are going to open a new file now. I'll open a new file. Here we will talk about how to accept, how to take input from the user, and based on the user input, if you have to send some output to the user, give some message or generate some output, how can we do that? Okay. So I am going to create a variable called as value, and I'll use input. This is a method. Input is a method. So what will happen? Whatever user enters at the prompt, whatever the user enters at the prompt, that value is taken and it will be stored over here in this variable called as value. Okay. So input is a method and I want to print this message first. I want to say enter a number from 1 to, let's say 99. Enter a number from 1 to 99. This is this, and then I will just go to the next line. So this message will be displayed on the console to the user and the mouse pointer will blink here. So when the user at the mouse pointer, when they enter a number, that will be taken as input and that will be stored in this variable called as value. Through the input method, we are taking the user input and we are storing it in a variable which is called as value. And then let me simply print a message. You entered, and then I will concatenate the value. This is what I'm going to print. Plus sign. Plus sign is very interesting. It will act as an arithmetic operator when you're using it with numbers. So if I take a number 5 plus a number 4, it's going to give me a number 9. But when you take string 5 plus a string 4. String you will enclose in double quotes, right? You will get a string 5, 4 because plus sign acts as a concatenation operator. It acts as a concatenation operator when you're using it between two string values. It's an addition or arithmetic operator if with numerical data, but with string data, it is concatenation. It will concatenate. Okay. Now let me run this. So you can see here, enter a number from 1 to 99. And here I'm going to enter a number, let's say 9. And look at the output, you entered 9. But what is the data type of this value that we created? Print the type of this field, the value that we created. Okay, I'm just going to print and show you the data type of this field. Let me do it here. It is of type string. Even over here, you can see values created and it is of type string. That number 9 is not being stored as a numerical value. It is being stored as a string value, str. Okay, whatever the user has entered, which is numerical, it is getting stored as a string internally within Python. Okay. So how do I make it a number and not a string? How do I make it? How do I make the system treated as numerical value and not string value? We will use something called as a type conversion function. Okay, so what I will do here is I'll create another variable called num into which I will store the integer form of the value. Okay, int function here is a type conversion function. So whatever is the data type of this particular field value, which contains some value in it, it will be converted into an integer. It will be converted into an integer and the integer form of that value is stored in this variable called as num. Okay. Now if I print the type of this number, okay, then what will happen? Let us see. And after that, I will type, I will take this below. Okay, I will. So first we are taking user input. We are converting that input into an integer and storing it here. And then we are going to print this message to the end user. Suppose I say plus num. Okay. So the text you entered and then the numerical form of that value when I take it and when I try to print it, it will throw an error. When I run this, this will throw an error. First, let me enter the number that it's asking. Let's say 5. And after giving 5, what happened? It took the number 5. It is storing this in integer format. You can see integer 5. And the type of that variable class is int. And then what happened? It is throwing an error in this statement, print you entered and num statement, saying you can only concatenate string with string, not with integer. So if I'm going to put num here, it is numeric. It is numeric, right? It is of integer type. So you can't concatenate a number to text data, not possible. Then what to do? I'm going to simply replace this with my value. And we know value is stored as an integer. Whatever the user is inputting here is being stored as a string. Value is a string. The user input is a string, which we are converting to integer using the type conversion function, maybe to use it in some other context. But for now, if I have to print the message using the concatenation operator, it is only possible if I use value over here and not num. So when I give the input now, suppose I'll give the input as 5, and you can see it is telling you entered 5. You entered 5. So value is a string which is 5. Num is an integer which is 5. Num is an integer which is 5. Value is a string that is 5. Okay, suppose the user enters an alphabet. Now, over here, suppose the user enters some alphabets instead of a number A. Then what will happen? Wait a minute, let me run it again. Just an alphabet I will take. Okay, now you see what is it telling? Enter a number, and I have entered a character A. And then what happens? The next statement, what is the next statement trying to do? It is trying to convert the user input, which is stored in the value variable, the user input. It's trying to convert it into an integer, but it is an alphabet. You cannot convert an alphabet into an integer, and therefore it's throwing an error, right? It is not possible to convert an alphabet into a numerical value, into an integer. Therefore, it is throwing the error. Okay, so clear. If the user by mistake or on purpose enters an alphabet, it will throw an error. And this error is not even user friendly. Some error is coming. So how do you handle the error in a better manner? Right? How can I handle it in a better manner and give them a message that you have not entered a number? Please check. Enter a numerical value. Okay, so I'll do this. Even before we go ahead and give them an error message, before trying to convert this value into an integer, suppose they enter a character, it should not be converted into an integer. It's not possible, right? So even before we attempt to take the integer form of that value and store it in our variable num, first we will check the value. We will check to see whether it is numeric or not. Only if it is numeric, the integer form of it will be stored in the variable num, otherwise no. Okay, how to do that? So I'm going to create a variable called as check value, which is equal to, I'm going to take the value here, the input that is going to come from the user, and use something called as is numeric function, is numeric method. So it's going to check whether the value is numeric. If it is numeric, it will store true over here. It will store true. Okay. And only when if it is true. If check value means what? If true, isn't it? If true. Only if that is true. Let me even print the check value here. Okay. If true, then what to do? Do these things. How will you give it? By indentation. You take the integer form of it and you can print the number. You can print the type of the number. Print the number and the type of the number also if you want. And also type some meaningful message over there that you entered or your number is. And then the value itself. Value only here. Okay, here you will not use num. Though you're storing it in numerical format, you will not use it there because it will not allow. This is concatenation that is going to happen. Otherwise, now what? Now I have to also display an error message properly, right? Okay, let us run it till here and see what will happen. Okay, let me run it till here. Let's try to understand this again. We are taking user input using the input method. Whatever the user enters will be stored in this field called as value, which is going to be string. So we are going to check whether the value that the user entered is numeric or not. If it is numeric, means if that turns out to be true, then we are going to convert it to an integer, the value, and store it in this variable num. I'm going to print its data type. I'm also going to print the number and I will say your number is so and so. Okay, till here we will do first. So let me run this code. It's asking me to enter a number. I'm going to enter a number here, 5, or let's say 50. So what happened? Check value is true. When I print the check value, where is that statement? This one. After entering 50 over here, it is checking whether it is numeric and printing the check value, which is turning out to be true, means it is numeric. And then integer form of that number is stored in the variable num, and the data type of num is printed, it is integer. The value itself is printed, it is 50. And I'm giving the message, your number is, and whatever the value is, your number is 50. There is no space over here between is and 50. So I will do one thing. Here I will go and insert a space. Okay, so far I hope it is clear. When a number is entered, how is it getting executed? Simple. Now what? Let me run this again. This time I am going to enter an alphabet. Enter. Now what will happen? Okay, so I have entered the value here as AA. Value is numeric. Is AA, double A numeric? No, it is not numeric. Means this is numeric check that we are doing is false. Is it numeric? Is the question we are asking through this is numeric method. It is false. So when I print check value, I am getting false. And if false, will it enter here? It will not enter. Only if true. Only if true, it will enter and perform these statements. But this is false. So if false, it will not even enter inside. It just comes out. So when the user is entering a non-numerical value, we are not doing anything. If the user is entering a numeric value, we are saying, okay, very good. You have entered a number so and so. But when the user is entering a non-numeric value, we are not telling them that they have entered non-numeric value. We are not telling them that they made a mistake. We are simply exiting from there. Okay, is numeric is going to check whether a number is numeric or not. Suppose 5 is the input. Is numeric. Is this numeric? If I give 5 as the input, is it numeric? Yes, right? Yes. So the result of is numeric is true. Understood? So it's a check that is checking whether the given value, whether that value, the value entered by the user is numeric or not. User entered AA. So I'm checking, is this numeric? What will be your answer for this question? If the input is A, what will be your answer to this question? Is numeric? Is it numeric? No, right? So your answer will be false. No, this is not numeric. It is false. AA is numeric. True or false? AA is numeric. Understood, Vijay? If I'm asking you, A is numeric, what will be your answer? No, false. You're making a false statement. It is not numeric. So if false is stored here, false is stored here, and if false, it will not do anything. It will just print that it is false and exit. I hope it is clear. That is what is numeric means. All right. So now error handling is still not done properly, isn't it? When they are entering a non-numeric value, we are not doing anything. We're just putting false and not doing anything. How about giving a meaningful message even when something goes wrong? So based on the previous example that I showed you, we will use message after printing the check value, right? Here, I'm going to create a variable called as message. And into this variable, I will put a message, sorry, not a number. You have not entered. What you have entered is not a number, right? What you have entered is not a number is the message I will display. If it happens to be true, then it will enter into this block of code and it will do all these things. Great. Your number is, and this value I will pass into the message. So when I'm beginning my statement and then at the end, after exiting, I will print the message. So try to understand this carefully. At the beginning, we are taking user input. Imagine the user input is the number 5. Is 5 numeric? Is this value 5 numeric? Yes. So it turns out to be true. It will print true. It will move this message. Sorry, not a number message is saved here. It will create a variable called as message. When the fourth line of the code is executed, sorry, not a number is stored in message. But right now, this is numeric, value is numeric, the value that I entered is 5, and that is numeric. So the output of this function is true. Yes, the number you have entered is numeric. So if true, what will happen? Will it enter into statement 7? The check value is storing true because what we have entered is a number. So will it enter into statement 7? Yes, it will enter into statement 7. Numerical form of that is stored under it will print the number type, it will print this, and it will print this message. What will happen? This message, great, your number is, and so, will go and it will get stored in this message. So even though here I stored number, sorry, it is not a number in message. By the time I come here, message is overwritten with this. Great, your number is so and so. And that will be printed. If the user enters a numeric value, this is the sequence. So let me enter and show it. I'm going to run this code. I have to enter a number here. I'm going to enter something, maybe 82. Is it numeric? Yes. So what will happen? True. The check value is true. Yes, it is numeric. And what happened? It entered here. It is printing the type of this number, that it is integer. It is printing the number itself, which is 82. And it is printing this message. Great, your number is 82. Okay, Raja, I hope it is clear now. If not, please revisit the video because I've already explained it 3 to 4 times. What is numeric doing here? I've explained it at least 4 times by now. Okay. Now, what if the user enters a non-numeric value like an alphabet A? So we are taking the user input and user has entered the alphabet A. Is this numeric? Is A numeric? No. So your answer will be false. If I say A is numeric, no, I'm making a false statement. So what will happen? This is false. So check value will become false. Okay, when you print the check value, you will get false. Then the message, sorry, not a number, is stored in this variable message. Will statement 7 be executed now? Will it execute statement number 7? It will not. If condition will work only if true. If false, it will not enter inside. If will work only if true happens, if you come across true. So because this is false, if false, it will not do anything. And it will print the message. So what will be the message we will get? Sorry, not a number. It is not entering here. Only if it is true, it will enter here. In our case, it will not enter here and it will print the message, sorry, not a number. So when I run this code, and if I'm going to enter some alphabet A, you look at that, false. Is numeric? No, it is false. And therefore, sorry, not a number remains. Only when you enter a numeric value and it is true, it enters into this loop and it will replace message with this data. Great, your number is so and so. And that message will get printed down. So we are taking the user input. We are validating if that input is numeric or not. If it is numeric, we are saying, great, you have entered this number. If it is non-numeric, we are saying, sorry, you have not entered a number. So you're validating the user input over here. We are validating the user input. Okay. Let me, now, using these two concepts that we have learned, we have talked about conditional statement if true, whatever has to happen, you can write. If not true, it will not enter that loop. Okay. So using this logic, I'm going to build an application that will accept two user inputs and it will calculate the total. the sum. So a calculator. I'm building a simple calculator app here. What is that calculator going to do? It will accept the user input. It will take two numbers from the user and it will calculate the summation of the two values and it will give you the sum. So let's go ahead. I'm going to create a new file. Num1, how will we accept input from the user? If I want to accept input from the user, what will I have to do? Which method has to be used? Input method. Method input has to be used. And I'm going to accept the first number from the user. And whatever value the user enters here, right, I will store integer form of that value in num1 variable. Upfront, I'm doing everything now. Okay. So the user input, whatever the user enters, numeric form of it, I'm going to store under num1 by converting to integer using the type conversion function. Similarly, I'll create a placeholder to store the second value, num2, integer form of using the input method. I'm going to take the second number. I'm going to take the second number. Then what will I do? I have to add them. So I'll create a variable called as total, which is num1 plus num2. Okay. And I'm going to now create another variable calculation where I will explain the calculation in the output statement. I'm going to write very clearly. You have added these two numbers and this is the result. So string form of num1. Please see, why am I converting it into a string? Because I want to write a statement over here. So concatenation happens only when your data is string, not when it is integer. If it is integer 5 plus integer 4, you'll get integer 9. That's not what I want to do. I want to take string 5 and I want to take string 4 and I want to say it is something. Okay. So string form of number1, I'm going to concatenate with a plus sign. Okay. Which I will concatenate with the string form of the second number, which I'm going to concatenate with an equal to sign, which I'm going to concatenate with the string form of the total variable. So imagine that the user has given 10 as number1 and 20 here. So it will be 10 concatenated with this plus 20 concatenated with equal to 30, the total. So this is the output message I will get. This is the output message I will get. This is concatenation. This is concatenation. This is concatenation. This is concatenation. This is just the symbol plus which will come as is. This is the symbol equal to which will come as is. Okay. And this is the string form of number1, string form of number2, and the total value. Concatenation. Why we are converting it to a string? I hope it is clear. So this is the message I will throw. I mean, what I want to store. And the message, I'm also going to create a variable called as message where I will say your total is, and then concatenate it with the string form of total. Otherwise, it will throw an error. We saw that already. Now, finally, I'm going to print the calculation and I'm going to print the total. Okay. So let me run and show this, then you'll understand better. Look at that. It's asking for the first number. Let me give maybe 50. Second number, I'm going to give 5. Enter. Look at what is happening. It took the user input for the first number, 50. Took the user input for the second number, 5. Both are stored as integers. Num1 is an integer. Num2 is an integer. 50 and this. And total is obviously an integer, which is 55. These three variables over here, you can see num1, num2, and total. Okay. And then what? The calculation we have printed. What is there in this field called as calculation? string form of number 1 plus string form of number 2 is equal to the total. So you can see 50 plus is just this plus sign that we are using here, this plus sign. Then the next one is equal to is this is equal to sign, and then the total itself, 55. Okay, sorry. Here I will print the message. Okay, here I'm going to print the message. So let me just do it again. First number, let's say 1000. Second number, let's say 500. So look at that. First number is 1000, second number is 500. 1000 plus 500 is 1500. And it's also printing the message, your total is 1500. Okay, if I don't use this here, and if I don't convert it into string, if I directly say you append total and run it, it will throw an error. It's not possible. 50 and 5, look at that. Concatenation, and there's a problem, you cannot do this. So what am I doing? I'm using string form of it so that it can get concatenated. So a simple calculator accepting two user inputs, two numbers, and then giving an output, which is the summation. Now on similar lines, you can try difference. You can try to build this for calculating the product. You can build the file for code for calculating the division to give you the remainder upon calculating the division instead of the quotient using the modulus operator. So whatever operators you want, you can use order or exponent operator, the caret symbol, anything you can use. Now here I have not done error handling as properly as I did in this case. So if the user is going to enter the first number or the second number as a non-numerical number, suppose they give an alphabet over here, my code is not going to throw any proper error message. It will just fail. It will just fail. Okay, so when I run this, if I'm going to enter the first number, let's say 20, second number, I'm giving the letter A, what will happen? It will just fail. At which step did it fail? When you're trying to take the input. Why? Because you're taking the input and converting that input to an integer. It's not going to convert the alphabet to an integer. There itself, at this step itself, where you gave a non-numeric value, it has failed. Okay, then what to do? We have to follow the previous logic. We need to validate whether it is numeric or not. Only if it is numeric, you proceed further. If numeric, you do all the arithmetic operation. Otherwise, just exit and give them a message saying the input is not correct. Please check the input you have provided. Okay, so that part I leave it to you. I have shown you how to do error handling here using the isNumeric function, and I have not done the error handling over here. So it is up to you now to practice this concept, to practice the isNumeric function and the if statement, and rebuild the code to perform summation of two numbers. Okay, you give it a try. So you have to rebuild the code to perform the summation of two numbers with proper error handling. If the user enters non-numeric value, give them an appropriate message. Only when both the values are numeric. Both the values are numeric. So you need to use logical operator. Which logical operator will you use? And only when both num1 and num2 are numeric. Only when both num1 and num2 are numeric, you have to perform this. Otherwise, you should not perform, and you should simply throw an error message saying one of the numbers is wrong. Okay, that part I am not doing. I leave it to you all. Try it out. Okay, so I will stop here. If you have any questions, I'll take up. Otherwise, we can end the meeting. Tomorrow we will proceed further with conditional statement itself. Tomorrow is the last session. We will see a few more conditional statements and build another small piece of code like this and wind up the training, the basic training on Python. It needs a lot of practice, okay? Python needs a lot of practice. Like if you're learning a new language, Remember children when they start learning a new language in junior KG, in kindergarten, children are taught English language. Each alphabet they are made to write so many times, right? Pages, at least 1 or 2 pages they will write A. 1 or 2 pages they will write B. Over and over again they are made to write the alphabets so many times, and then they become perfect. That is how we also learned the concepts, learned a language. So you are learning a new language. Okay, imagine you're learning French, you're learning Spanish. So every alphabet, every word, you have to write multiple times until you become a master. So this is also a language. It requires that kind of dedication and that kind of practice. Thank you all. See you tomorrow for the last session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you all.